IG. Oh,
Turning my phone off.
shoot. Okay. Here. Okay, okay. Well, hello everyone. Hello again. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is Gloria Ware, Get the Bag Boss. I am the CEO and Chief Rainmaker for Get the Bag and CEO and Capital Co-Pilot for GTB Advisors. I'm here today to promote our upcoming event that we're having in partnership with the PNC Fairfax Connection. That's why I'm repping that merch right now. And it's an event series on a theme that is near and dear to our hearts at Get the Bag, and that's on customer capital. And customer capital is all about kind of centering your customer. Um, if you can do a great job of getting customers, understanding your customers, keeping customers, number one, that helps to put money in your pocket right away. But two, it also makes you more appealing and funding ready for funders, whether it be a donor, whether it be an investor, whether it be a lender, whether it be even when you're securing grants. Everyone wants to know that they're working with someone that either has customers, that they have a strong understanding of who their customers are, or they are kind of building a runway and a track record of people that are interested in their product and service. So our first event in our series was on April 25th, and that was about focused on marketing. We kind of went back to the basics of marketing, the 5 P's of marketing, which sometimes we forget when we're in our zeal to make these posts and do these things on social media. And then we also talked about understanding your customer persona, creating customer personas, and having a customer journey map. This is an in-person event at the PNC Fairfax Connection, which is on 8220 Carnegie. And it was a great event. We had a great turnout. There was some good networking. The food was like off the charts. Shout out to Dale's Catering. And then we met after the event over at Umbar Cafe on Larchmere, and had a little after set conversation then. And so we'll do the same thing for this event. So anyway, let me talk to you about the PNC Fairfax Connection. It is not an actual branch, but it is a community center, right? That connects the community to resources. And I'm a member. The membership is free. With your membership, you get access. You can go there and co-work. It's a bright, beautiful, airy space. So I've been there co-working a lot of times, and it's been great just to see the community coming in and out, and the different programs that they have. Their target audiences are young families with children, local community members, and business owners. And so they've got lots of STEM initiatives, arts initiatives, and it's just a great vibe. In fact, when I was leaving the other day, 2 women were coming in for, it was a Mother's Day like cookie making event or something, and they asked, they were like, "Are you a member?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a member. I just joined recently." And they're like, "Oh, this place is amazing. It's amazing. We love it here." And it just felt so good. It just felt so good to see our sisters like really enjoying themselves, and you don't always see people have that kind of connection to a space. So that's the PNC Fairfax Connection. And so we had Alan Williams and Lindsay Sims, who were our facilitators. They actually were our presenters on the 25th, and they did a fabulous job. I wanted to make sure that we had people that this is what they do. Marketing is what they do, how they get paid, how they eat. But also people that can relate to us, as business owners that definitely have limited time, but also may have limited resources. And so I think they were very well received, and we got a lot of good feedback, which some of it we have posted on our social media channels. So the next event, May 16th, this Thursday, is on part 2 of that. So some of us have the types of businesses that are our customers are other businesses. So that requires more than just kind of marketing. It requires you to communicate and build relationships and follow up. And there's a process for that. And it's a journey. And I, often feel like that's not covered enough. So I was like, who are two business owners that, you know, and nonprofit leaders actually, that could do a great job of sharing with us their strategies for building relationships, and then selling through those relationships, or I like to call it serving through those relationships. So we are lucky enough to have two very busy women, Lydia Pope, who is the president and owner of EAD Realty and Investments, New Era Real Estate Group, and NID Pope Housing Agency, where she also runs a nonprofit HUD agency branch office. And Lydia was also in my Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses cohort. So I had the opportunity to see her in action and see her many successes. And then Danielle Sidnor is someone who I've admired for many years, and knew her from her work in the entrepreneurship space here in Cleveland, and her leadership with the NAACP of the Cleveland office. She's a respected leader and advocate in Ohio, known for her tireless work in social justice and economic empowerment. She's currently serving as CEO of Rise Together Innovation Institute. And while doing that, while leading her consulting practice, We Win Strategies Group. Danielle continues to strive initiatives aimed at fostering innovation, collaboration, and sustainable growth. And Danielle keeps it real. She's just super creative and innovative, and I love the way that she thinks. Right, somewhat of a contrarian at times, but that's what we need. So they're both really busy. They had some other events today, so we're going to have a special guest, kind of a last minute guest, who was offered to share with us some of her um, selling secrets and relationship secrets. And that's Tanya Manning Grant, who is the CEO of Dress Code and Ashton's Boutique. Oh, let me turn your mic on, Tanya. Okay.
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 Yes. Ashton's
Okay.
Corner Kids Clothing
Ashton's
Boutique.
corner, right. You see, I need to put my glasses on this. Okay, wait a minute. Let me get my glasses on here.
That's
Okay, next,
okay.
Ashton's Corner. Okay. And she's also the CEO of TMG Professional Consulting. And she's a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And she's an amazing person. In fact, this cute little top that I'm wearing, I got from Dress Code. I get a lot of compliments on it. I love it. And I want to give a shout out to Stacey Ward Braxton, for these cute GTV earrings that she made for me from A Resin to Play. So, okay, well, let's get into it. I'm going to invite, let me just do a real quick promo for the event next week. Registration technically was closed Friday, but I've noticed that the registration is still open. So there's still time for you to register. You can either go to pncfairfaxconnection.com, or you can go to getthebag.com, and the registration link is there. We need to know who's actually coming so that we can order enough food, right? And if you register, please come so that we don't waste all that delicious, amazing food. We got so many good comments about the food last time. So getthebag.biz or pncfairfaxconnection.com. It's also on the Get the Bag page and my personal page. So please come and support this effort. Come and check out Lydia and Danielle, who are both nonprofit executives and CEOs. So they're going to have a lot of good things to share with us. So now let's get to our presentation here. Okay, so we've got Tanya. So Tanya, thank you so much.
Yes.
I know you're a busy woman. You've got these three businesses and I think a nonprofit. Maybe it sounds like a nonprofit in the works too.
Yes, it is in the works. Yes.
Okay, so introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about you, your passion, what you do, what drives you, and your experiences. I think particularly as it relates to this topic.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for hosting this. Gloria, I think this is very helpful. It's very instrumental. I think a lot of people are looking for this type of help and or support. So I'm Tanya Manning Grant, and I have been in this corporate space for about 38 plus years. Like Gloria indicated, I own Dress Code Boutique and Ashton's Corner Kids Clothing Boutique, which were previously located inside of Beechwood Mall. We are now in our own freestanding building, and we will be launching our DCB Spaces LLC here pretty soon. So we will have an event space that we will be able to host different events. I'm also the owner of TMG Professional Services Consulting Firm. So I do a lot of supply chain procurement operations type of consulting. I have developed SOP standards and guidance around client engagement, client management for companies like Accenture, Logic Source, and Denali. So I've managed a lot of these types of relationships, and how do you go after these types of relationships? How do you hold on to these types of relationships? But I think what's even more important, how do you scale? How do you improve? And how do you really make the relationships work? And I found that the key to that is just genuineness, transparency, and honesty.
Thank you. So I would imagine, you have two audiences. You've got your retail audience, right, with dress codes and
Yes.
Acton's Corner, and then you have your corporate audiences. Yes, and also probably I think you also could advise small business owners as well. So
Yes.
all of those involve people, but I think there's when you're thinking about relationship building, or sales, there might be different approaches. Talk to us about just some of the differences in the approach and similarities in the approaches of dealing with building relationships as the owner of a retail or e-commerce business,
Mhm.
versus working with other businesses.
So for me, I'll start off with the similarities. You know, when people are coming to you, they're coming to you to help them solve an issue and or a problem. So what I have found to be pretty successful is being able to understand what that issue and that problem is, and just
Yeah.
simply starts out with a hello. You know,
Hmm.
getting to know that individual on a personal basis. One of the things that I have coached and educated small businesses on, even within my own staff, is just to simply make sure that they're just genuine, asking the right questions, getting to know that individual, you know, not peppering people with questions, right? It's just like, so when I have individuals that walk into my boutique, it's, hey, how are you? I hope your day is going well. You know what are you looking for? What can I help you with? What do you have going on this evening? What brings you in? People want to know that you care, and people want to know that you understand. So when
Yeah.
I say, I use that same type of just, you know, hi, hello, even in my corporate business. So when I'm
Mm.
in my corporate business, it's when customers or clients are come to me, hey, let's talk. Help me to understand more about you, more about your business, you know, what you're looking for. How can I be of assistance? How can I help you? What problems are you solving? And what I normally do from a consultative perspective is a gap analysis. So after an individual talks to me and wants, you know, coming to seek my help, it's like, where do I fit in first? And I think the mistake a lot of people make in sales is that they feel like they can solve every issue for an individual, and they start selling from the moment of hello.
Mm.
And that turns people
Exactly.
off. It turns
Yes.
people off. So I know as a procurement director of procurement for a large consulting firm, when I have salespeople reaching out to me attempting to sell me technology or what have you, when they start out that pitch with, you know, I'm the best and you need this and you must have this, that's a turnoff. They don't get to know me. They don't get to know my businesses. They don't get to know my corporate clients' businesses enough to really say, this is what I'm looking for. So a lot of times people find it a waste of time. So it's
Hmm.
just that simple hi, hello, how are you doing? How are things going? You know, what brings you into the boutique? Or hey, you reached out, how can we help you? And I think the biggest difference though between the two for me,
Hmm.
because I have that retail, that customer lifestyle, and then I also have that professional consultative lifestyle, not only just for my own firm but for the firm that I work for. And to me, it's a different level of understanding. My boutique wants more fashion sense. It's more of catering to that person individual need and style. When I think about my corporate clients, it's more so, do I understand the industry? Do I understand where they sit in the industry? What are some of the pain points? So it's more of me showcasing myself as a subject matter advisor. How can I advise you based upon my experience? They want to have that comfort level. One of the biggest challenges that I also think people in this industry, which I think is very important in building relationships, is that they don't understand the marketplace. They want to present themselves as experts as opposed to advisors. And so, what I have challenged myself and my staff is we're not subject matter experts, we're subject matter advisors. We can advise a client on where the market sits, the total cost of ownership of that market, what those risks are, and let's work through them together. So, does that make sense in terms of the difference between the two?
Well, tell me a little bit more. Then I think you've just set up a really great opportunity for us to move into some of the highlights addressed in this article on avoiding mistakes in your relationship selling. And this is
Hmm.
actually this is not my content. It's content that I found through another source, which
Hmm.
is should be. I'm gonna put that source in the comments. But I thought it was great. I thought it was good content, and basically summed up a lot of things that I've seen in my experience, either being kind of someone attempting to build a relationship, someone attempting to sell to me as opposed to building a relationship, and then just in my years of experience of selling in the banking industry. So, but I would like for you to touch on a little bit more this kind of notion of subject matter expert versus
Hmm.
advisor. Not too much because I want to get to the slides, but kind of tease
Right.
that out a little bit, please.
Absolutely. So, you know, historically, anyone that had a very strong grasp in terms of a category or knowledge of a category in an industry that have spent, I would say, anywhere between 10 to 15 years in this, that has sourced it, has built category strategy, roadmaps around it,
Now,
to
when you
understand the
say
different
category,
levers.
can you give us more information about what you mean by category?
Sure, absolutely. Industries. So, like for
Okay.
instance, if we're looking at the consumer and beverage industry, understanding who the major players are in that industry,
Okay.
understanding the different levers or points of negotiations, what drives the pricing in that particular industry, what suppliers are leading suppliers in that particular industry. So, for
Okay.
instance, if we're talking about MRO, or no, I think it's easier to talk about facilities. We
Mm-hmm.
all walk into a building every single day, right? So,
Yeah.
what customer or what suppliers actually support that building? You have janitorial, you have housekeeping, you have GCs, contractors, that type of thing. So, really understanding that part of the business, that
Okay.
industry, and being able to grasp that and speak intelligently about it enough to say that you can go to a client and say, I understand the industry that you are in. Here are the major players. Here are the price impacts to that product. These are the common negotiation strategies that you use if you are on the buying side of those services. And from a selling services, these are the pain points that a lot of the buyers in the markets are feeling. So being able to talk intelligently, to go into a room and have a discussion with a buyer, that would be considered a subject matter expert.
Okay.
So fast forward as we are evolving into this business sense, so to speak, or in procurement and supply chain operations. We're
Mm-hmm.
now looked at as subject matter advisors. And that is, I can advise you on where the market is from a global perspective, from a
Mm-hmm.
domestic and local perspective. I can advise you on the pricing and pressures that we're feeling today and how to mitigate some of those pricing pressures. I can advise you on selling techniques that have worked or will work with clients based upon these different levers. The biggest difference between the two is that I have found with subject matter experts, they
Mm-hmm.
almost pose quote unquote a threat, because usually when consultants come into an engagement, The
Mm.
first thing that people think of is A, I'm not doing my job. B, I'm getting ready to lose my job. C, they're going to replace me.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
more often than not, that is not the case. So what
Mm.
happens is you have a client that sometimes becomes very defensive. So the consulting goes on the offense, right? So you start to lose momentum or lose that trusted, perspective. So you find yourself oftentimes being challenged no matter what strategies you come to the table with. But
Mm-hmm.
coming to the table, so let's put a positive spin on that. Coming to the table as an advisor implies we're going to do this together.
Yes. So
I,
you're
I
on the side, like
know,
I'm on your side.
yes, I'm on your
Yeah.
side. I'm not here to replace you. I'm here
Okay.
to add value to the value you already have.
Well, I really like that insight of kind of this is from the customer, and this is why the point of knowing your customer, right? And even
Mhm,
not knowing, yes, the industry and the price points and the competition, but also knowing maybe some of their emotions and fears and
mhm,
dreams and aspirations, understanding that part of it, right? Because then that helps you to understand how, regardless of how expert you are, how much credibility
mhm,
you have, how many referrals you have, if a person is feeling threatened, you're not, it's going to be difficult to build that relationship and to convert it into a business relationship. So that was a really good point of understanding that, particularly if you're doing consulting, there may be a fear or apprehension about your role as it relates to the, and often when you're dealing with other businesses, and we'll get to that on these slides, you're
mhm.
dealing with other team members. So it's not just maybe the person that brought you in, there are other decision makers that are part of it. So,
Absolutely.
oh, okay, so let's dig into this into okay, here we go. Yeah, let's dig into this and we've got the quotes, we have the credits for the quotes in the slides, but this mistakes that we make when we're trying to build a relationship. So the biggest mistake I see sellers make in their copy as they go to build
Mhm,
a relationship, and copy is your literature, your collateral, your marketing materials, that they're too informative. This is especially true in cold calls. And then I like the data point that they have here. Any informative tone in your writing reduces your replies by 26%. So, Tanya, I think this connects back to a person positioning themselves as an expert, which I could see you doing that, right? Because you want to be seen as credible. But you have to be careful of when and how to do that because it sounds like if you're coming off too much as an expert, people may, sounds like maybe feel intimidated and may not reply. Do you have any insight as to why this might be?
absolutely. And that happens more often than not, especially, let me back up for a second. It really depends upon the level of that individual within an organization.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a director and previously a vice president, a managing director at another company, this is expected at a certain level when I was having conversations at the C-suite level. It was
Mm-hmm.
expected and
Okay.
more. But when I would go in and actually talk to the end users of our consulting services, whether it was a plant manager, a manager, or an analyst, it can come off a little showy, a little arrogant, a
Mm.
little, insensitive, I
Wow.
believe. I had a
Yes.
situation where I had a young man on my team that quote unquote would oftentimes use the word educate. And so he would go into a client and say, let me educate you on this. I need to educate you
Okay.
about
Yeah.
this. And it was a
Yes.
major turnoff. And like you said earlier, Gloria, he had all of the know-how, the understanding, had been in an
Yes.
area for years, smart, polished young man, but it's just a matter of semantics. And that word educated turned
Yes.
everybody off that I had to remove him from the account.
Wow.
So you just have to be very cognizant, whether it is verbal, whether it is written, even body language. I talk to
Mhm.
people all the time about body language. Your
Mm.
body language can come off as, too showy or too cold.
So if you're just starting your consulting business or your services business, I mean, a lot
Hmm.
of this seems kind of overwhelming. Like, right? Oh gosh, like where do I get? How do I become like get all this information about understanding the industry, but how do I understand my body language and like
Mhm.
what is I feel like what people don't realize is that this is a process and this is a journey.
Yes.
And the more you do it and the more you inform and educate yourselves, right? And
Mhm.
surround yourselves with other people that are also do it, the
Mhm.
less uncomfortable will be. But anytime you're starting something new, you're going to be uncomfortable, but know that that will not last. What are your thoughts
It
on
won't last. I always advise people, especially small businesses that come and work with me, is to, work with someone that is already in this field. Work with someone that has actually gone through all of these issues,
it?
that have
That's
made
good
those
advice.
mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Partner with a consulting firm like myself, like you, Gloria, like the incredible ladies that you have here on the stage here with us, and you know talk to them, be ask those questions, and oftentimes, what I will do, I used to give send surveys a lot, and I would ask my clients, hey, how did I show up for you today?
Wow.
Even new clients, like, as you know, new clients that I'm bringing into my own consulting firm, oftentimes I would say, at the end of the call, I would say, hey, if you can share some feedback with me on with that approach, that would be very helpful, because you may feel like you're coming off one way, but this is what
Yeah.
they're receiving. So I
Yes.
never want to come across too informative, because I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people, you know, um, vomit everything that they know, how
Mm-hmm.
many letters they have behind their names,
Yes.
where they've been, who they're connected with. So you don't want to come across that way, but you don't want to come across too dull that someone's looking at you to say, well, why did I even engage with this individual? Is she even knowledgeable about what
Right.
I'm coming to her
Yes.
for? So
Yeah.
it's a balance. It's a
Yeah.
balance for sure.
I love that advice of that, find we say use the word mentor or find someone that even if it's mentoring you for 30 minutes, like right,
Hmm.
giving you some insights, follow them if they have a LinkedIn profile, if they have a newsletter, follow them because you get lots of like you can extend the 30-minute engagement through kind of how through the information that they share on social and in their email.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just want to make people to I want to make people know that we've been doing this for what 25, 30 years, like right.
Yes.
So it is
Yes.
definitely a journey. I think we both have benefited from sales training, like professional
Yes.
sales training in our organizations. And this is why this topic was so important to me because thinking back and as I speak to business owners, I realize that not everyone's had that type of experience, right? To have these go through these intensive sales courses and coaching from your manager.
Hmm.
Typically you'll go on a call with somebody that's more senior, and that's what
Hmm.
you learn from that, right? And so that's a gap that I want to close with this series on sales and relationship building.
I want
So
to make one
okay,
more point about that too.
let's
But if
go
I
to the
could,
first one.
okay, I just want to make one quick point. I think is very, very important, is not just sales training, but
Yeah,
as much training as you can get on cultural biases or cultural training, because a lot of times you will come across individuals of different cultures, and the
yes,
way that they do business is totally different the way that they do business here in the
absolutely,
US. So I have a large staff
absolutely,
in India. And so the way that I approach my staff in India is totally
yeah.
different than how I approach my staff in the US. So I would
Mhm.
recommend, it's more than just sales training,
Yes,
any type of cultural training, communication courses that you can
yeah,
take them.
absolutely. And I love that point. My major was actually international business in college.
Hmm.
And so I was exposed early to
Hmm.
the importance of not thinking that everyone does things in the same way as we do here in the United States, right?
Hmm.
How important it is when you are, and it's international business, but it's also even business in the US, right? Because
Yes,
we also
absolutely.
have different cultures. Number one,
Yes.
based on our demographics, the regions that we reside in. There's a Midwest versus East Coast way of doing things. There's a Southern way of doing things. There's a West Coast. So these are the types of cultures that you want to familiarize yourself and be and incorporate into your selling style. There's cultures within companies, right?
Absolutely.
How
Hmm.
they also, this is what I love about LinkedIn. If there might be someone in your network that you can reach out to get a better understanding of how things work in that company culture. Because to your point, there may be situations in which the company cultures, they want to come have someone to come in and show up like a know-it-all, like an expert. Like they really enjoy that. And then other cultures
Exactly.
where it's going to be a big turnoff. So this is where doing your homework on your customers, right?
Hmm.
Before you make a call, and I don't like to use the word sales. I mean, that's what it is, but it's really for me,
Hmm.
it's about relationship building. At the end of the day,
Yes.
everything is about relationship building. Whether I'm coming into your store, that's what I love about coming into your stores. It's bright, it's cheery, everyone's very friendly and welcoming, and but not being not overbearing, right? And it just encourages
Yes.
me to stay, and the energy in it encourages me to stay. So that piece of instead of running up and telling people what's on sale and how
Right.
you know the
Oh,
latest fashion trends, it's like, okay, let me just kind of enjoy the vibe and just making me feel good. It's about how you make people
absolutely.
feel. So this point, this one, so I'm going to go to the first mistake, and this is acting too chummy instead of focusing on solutions. And I've seen this. These are kind of people that rely on their charisma a little bit, or I think sometimes it's nervous, or maybe they haven't done enough homework. And so
Hmm.
on being friends. It says, while building rapport is crucial, remember that prospects seek solutions. And you mentioned that in your opening, not
Yes.
biggest mistake sellers make with relationships is going hyper relational too early in the process and makes it feel icky, says Marcus Murphy, co-founder and CEO of Thrive. Prioritize value in your interactions to win hearts. And this is where doing the homework, why are you even there, right? Why have they invited you to this meeting? There's something
Hmm.
value that they feel you might be able to generate for them. And then in order to get into the meeting, you want to know who is this customer? What is the industry? What do I think their pain points are based upon my homework on knowing the industry, my experience, but also my homework, doing homework with them. So talk to us about the balance between the relationships versus like, you know what? At the end of the day, I want you to feel like you had a good return of investment on our time together.
And this is very important because this is, they say that old adage of first impressions are lasting. First, that is so true. And I've seen some people make a really good impression and bad, and I've even done it myself. And again, this is something that you learn along the way. But becoming coming off too personal in the beginning, I think it sends up people's radars to say, okay, what does this person need from me or want from me?
Mm-hmm.
So you come across less genuine. So for me, it's about asking more questions about that individual, about their interests, what they're involved in, right? Because people like to talk about themselves, and people want to know that we understand why we're here. It's a sales call,
Mm-hmm.
but understand me more. And I tell people, a lot of young consultants that I've worked with, get to know that individual, get to know that individual's pain points, their objectives, where they sit in the company in terms of influence, in terms of making decisions, what piques their interest, what are they involved in outside of work. Again, getting to know people and asking those right questions is key. But coming across as you're my best friend and this is the first time that we've met, it is icky. I agree with Marcus. It is icky. And it's also, it makes your radar go up, right? You become defensive. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, what's in it for them? What
Yeah.
do they need from me? Is
Right.
this relationship going to be reciprocal?
Mm.
So I can tell you a lot of people automatically go on the defense when
Mm.
you do come across that way because we're not best friends. And you can become your clients, go to that mentor. I have clients till today that are no longer clients of mine, but I can always reach back and reach out when I need something. And we've spoken about personal things. We've shared personal things. But
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, we have maintained a certain level of decorum
Mm.
because business is business,
Right.
right? And never forget that they're still your client,
Yes. Yeah,
regardless of that
because
relationship.
you let your guards down and you might be sharing some things that they may not necessarily like, oh, do I really want to trust this person like with my business?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
And I
yeah, I
always
love
tell
that point.
people, you never know who knows whom,
Oh my gosh.
especially, I think. at least for supply chain and procurement operations, is very incestuous.
Mm,
Everybody knows everybody. Everybody goes
okay.
from company to company to company.
Kind of like
So you
banking.
have to be
Mm,
like banking,
yeah.
absolutely. So you have to be very cognizant about who you align yourselves with and the conversations that you have.
Yes. That's true. I mean, because you can get very comfortable and let your guards down. And like it is a small world, state, Midwest country.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I would say that one of my favorite stories that I had from a client was, I was I worked in banking. I was the only
Hmm.
Black woman that was a commercial lender, on my team, if not the only woman for a long time. And so I had to use a different. I had to be very value driven, right? I didn't
Hmm.
necessarily go in and like have drinks with the guys or take half a day off to go golfing, unless it was like a formal golf outing. So I had to drive value. Plus, I was there because I wanted to drive value. Right? I believe that um, I my work was very mission oriented for me, helping the client to be successful, to have positive memorial experiences. That was part of my early sales training. So being very intentional with having an agenda, having a focus, having some solutions, but also making the client feel comfortable, but also getting to
Hmm.
business and providing value. And I remember one person sharing that, they really appreciated that about me, as opposed to kind of the previous banker that used to have that account, kind of to come in and want to shoot the breeze a lot, but didn't really offer much in terms of maybe, some fun and laughs, but didn't really offer a lot of value. That always
Hmm.
stuck out to me, that this person recognized that and valued that. So good
Well,
point.
that's one of the things that struck me about you too, Gloria, when we first met. You know, you care more about, hey, what do you have going on? Getting to know me. You talked about you, sort of like when you interjected, it was like you closed the gap on things. It just made sense. So it wasn't just rambling or talking just to be heard, but it's like I knew that you were actively listening, the way that you were responding. And I think that's why you and I have been able to build such a relationship in such a short amount of time, where we play off of each other and support each other because we listened and we took the time out to get to know each other, and it wasn't
Yes.
just about going into your next topic. This is a perfect segue, right?
Yeah.
Focusing everything on you as the individual and not allowing the other person to receive.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I remember that. It was at the Delta Sigma Theta event,
Yes,
business
yes,
marketplace, and you
yes,
you were making me mad because you were telling me about people not handling their business and following up with you. And
yes,
I'm like, what?
yes.
No. Let me
You
get
did. And next thing I know, people were calling me all over the place. I'm like, wait a minute. She's a woman of her word. And I had met so many people who weren't. And then I shared with
yes.
you. And next thing I know, I got a phone call and from Dora. And Dora is one of those women that made it happen, like boom, boom, boom. And
I
I'm
mean,
like,
but you were
okay,
so qualified. You were like, I was blown away by like, oh, you do what? I was in my head. I was like, you do what? You know how to do this? Oh, you already have that, and no one's returning your calls? Oh no.
no.
Oh no. So
Well, I
I
can only
love to get
thank you.
fired up. Sometimes I do have to watch myself. I
That's
love to
okay.
get
Because people
fired
love
up.
that. Because
Like,
you're passionate about what you do. And that's another thing, because you are so passionate, you draw people to you. And because you are so passionate, and other when you come together with a passionate person, all
yeah.
kinds of good things happen. Because I
Oh,
don't want somebody that's dull, that's not crazy
yeah.
about what they do, because they're not going to do their best for me. Right.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Thank you. Okay, so centering the conversation on yourself. Avoid bombarding prospects with irrelevant information about your offering. So this is like features versus benefits. Instead, tailor the approach to meet their needs. Nothing is a bigger turnoff for a prospect than hearing a sales rep talk about a bunch of features and services that don't apply to a prospect's business. Diversify your connections within an organization for greater success. That's another one too. But talk to us about, you've got this amazing service, you have this amazing
mhm.
product, it's going to be fabulous. and I want everyone to know the world about it. Like, what do you do and what don't you do in that situation?
You know what? This is, and I agree with Robert, this is a huge turnoff. I can't tell you how many times people have reached out to me, especially in LinkedIn. You know how you get all of those, hey, Tanya, like they really know me, right? Hey,
Oh
Tanya.
gosh, I cannot
Or
stand.
you get those phone calls, right? You know what I'm talking about. Hey, is this Tanya? Yes. Tanya, I got a solution for you.
It's
I,
the worst.
well, how do you know that's my problem?
Yes,
Right? So how do you know
yes,
that's my problem? So, it is a turnoff because for me, that tells me you have not done your homework. You have
yes.
not taken the time out to get to know me, what my business is like. And more importantly, you haven't taken my business and compared it to other businesses to say, wow, this is something that she may be missing, something that I can help her with. So instead of saying, this is your problem, Tanya, hey, are you dealing with this? Because I know in this marketplace, I know right now other people who are similar
Bam,
to
that's it
you
right there.
are going through this. Are you facing this? And
Yeah,
I've had some really good conversations with salespeople that have reached out to me, and I've said, yeah, I am. You know what? And then you move forward with a call,
yeah,
or no, I'm not. But then they keep pressing it. Well, are you sure? Because let me help you. And it's like, are you trying to create a problem that I'm telling you that I don't have so you can sell me a
yeah,
product that I don't need? So that is an automatic turn off. That, and I see that from my corporate and my consulting perspective. But when I'm
mm-hmm.
looking at my like retail businesses,
Yeah,
it's as if somebody walks into my store that's a curvy girl size and I'm
mm-hmm.
trying to sell her something for her out of Ashton's
Mm-hmm.
Corner. You just look
Mm.
ridiculous.
Right.
And I think what happens is you lose credibility and it's an
Yes,
instant turn off. And you
yeah,
got to be very careful with that because not only are you, um, hurting your individual personal brand, but you could potentially be hurting that company's brand by doing that.
mm-hmm.
So people have to get smarter. Now, that's not to say somebody at a C suite level um, doesn't understand the problem, because for the most part, if you are in a solid organization, you have built the organization in such a way that certain things don't even get to you, right? Because you have
Mm.
individuals that are managing them. So,
Yes,
in supporting the context below where it says diversify your connections within an organization for greater success, that's when you have to make sure that you're courting more than just a C suite. A lot of salespeople make that mistake. They want to go directly to the top. 9 times out of 10, they may be the decision maker, but guess what? That decision is going to be heavily influenced by people who support them or work for them. So
mm-hmm.
that's why you got to get the attention and understand everybody from the janitor to the CEO. And I'll
Mm.
tell you what, people who are in those positions, from a janitor, analyst, and associate, what have you, know more about how that
Executive
company is
assistant.
ran. Come on, executive assistants know more about what's going on than the C-suite member, right? Because they're working on the business.
Mm-hmm.
People on their staffs are working in the business, so they
Yeah.
can really tell you whether or not something is reasonable.
Now, I want to push back on that a little bit. So,
Hmm.
I remember going through this course, and this is when we were in banking, and it was called Mindset of the CEO.
Okay.
And we were encouraged, and maybe because it was finance, it was money, right?
Hmm.
It was in this context, it was critical to start as high at the top as possible.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
we were told, like with the CEO, ideally, right? And we were told that because sometimes people that are report underneath the CEO or the
Hmm.
president or whomever, the executive director, they're afraid to look bad, like, right? So they may not necessarily be selling your vision or the opportunity or the solution because
Hmm.
they're over analyzing it, right? And you're calling and following up and it's never getting to the CEO. So I
Hmm.
do feel that it is kind of depending on the situation. Like,
Okay.
the best thing to do really is to have a warm lead, right? To find a
Absolutely.
connection to introduce you to the right people. But the other thing I saw people do too much of, and this was on the banking side, putting all their eggs in one basket, like investing their time and building relationship with one person in the bank. when, to your point, people move, people change, people get promoted,
Yes.
and now you're in a situation that no one knows you, no one knows your story. So I used to always make sure, and then you should do this with your other clients and bankers and other money people. Make sure that other people within that organization, like it says, diversify your connections within an organization for greater success. Know you as well.
Absolutely. And that's interesting. That's good. That's good feedback, and that's really good insight. Gloria, thank you for sharing that. And you're probably right. It's probably industry specific. I can just tell you in the different industries that I've had, you're right. So the initial engagement is always with the C-suite, but I've been in situations where the C-suite members that says, yeah, we'll sign off, we'll take this on, but you need to work with these individuals to make sure that
Yeah.
it gets implemented.
Uh-huh.
So, but I can definitely see that from a finance perspective.
Yeah, because
Definitely.
the C-suite, that is their job. Like, right? It's like, okay,
Hmm.
money, yes, that's how I get paid. This is how I get my bonuses. This is how I get my stock option. Let's
You
talk about
got it.
how we make this growth happen, how I generate more return on my investments, etc.
You
Okay.
got it.
Assuming sales relationships are exclusive, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Advise Jake Dunlap advises against solely relying on one contract. The first person we speak with is most likely not the principal person we need to establish a relationship with in the long run. We need to make sure we have access to many people in the organization and not just the person we've deemed the point of contact. So I think we touched upon that in our previous
Yes.
conversation.
And
Oh, this
I'll
is a
say
good
one point here, which I think
one.
is
Okay.
important. Become sticky. I don't know if everybody's familiar with that term, but
Now
become sticky.
tell us a little bit more about that term.
So it is become invaluable or valuable to the organization across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Not just to focus in on one group of individuals, because people leave companies, get promoted, they move on all the time. So I used to always tell my staff, or still tell my staff, is become sticky, become that go-to person
Mm.
that that individual can go to, whether
Yeah.
it is in the marketing department, whether it is in procurement, whether it is in finance. And it goes back to being that subject matter advisor. And
Mm.
it's not always about having the answer, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, I know where I can go get the answer,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
making sure
Yes.
that you're following up. That's becoming
That's it.
sticky.
I
It's
love
becoming
that. Yes.
useful.
I love it.
Yes.
Because with things changing so much, today, you're not going to have all the answers because what used to be
Hmm.
true last week is no longer true this week. But if you're staying on
Absolutely.
top of your industry, then you know where to go to get it. Um,
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, oh, I don't know, but I do know who does know.
yes.
And I'm going to go to this person, and this is when I'm going to get back to you. That's becoming sticky, because
Yes.
now people
Yes.
see that you're credible and you're
Yes.
trustworthy, and
Yes.
you're a woman or a man of your word, and you're going to circle back and follow up.
I,
And I always tell my staff, even if you don't have the answer yet after 24, 48 hours, circle back and say, hey, I haven't forgotten. I'm still working on that, but I
yes.
just want to let you know where I'm at. That's becoming sticky.
Yes. I love that. So trust, right? Being credible,
Hmm.
that like those are things, and sometimes it's hard, right? Because we're so overwhelmed,
Hmm.
there's so much to do. So I think kind of this point of like having a system and time management, that's something we're going to talk more about on the 16th. Like how do you
Hmm.
manage all of these communications and relationships and knowledge and follow up and all that. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. So we'll talk more about that on the 16th. But I do want to, in the context of having an e-commerce or retail business, how do you become
Hmm.
sticky to your customer?
Blogs, sharing tips,
Okay.
responding back. I get messages all the time through the bots on both of my websites.
Okay.
It's responding back to those messages. I get messages on all of my social media,
Mm,
responding back to those social media. I think also with e-commerce is building prefabricated questions and answers. So doing your own Q&A. So when people
mm-hmm,
come in through my
mm.
website, and if they have a question about something, what's your return policy? It pops up because I've already prefabricated those
So you have a chat
Q&As.
bot?
I have a chat bot on
Okay.
both websites. Yes,
Okay.
I have a chat
AI.
bot. Yes,
Okay, I
I
like
love
that.
AI. Gloria, that's my new best friend. I
That's
always
great.
tell people
Honey, if you're not on
I'm
that
dating
AI
A.
train, if you're not on the GPT train, like you need to get on it. There's Chat GPT, there's Gemini, there's one called Poe, hot tip, Poe.com.
At.
It's all of the GPTs combined.
I'm gonna check that one out because I'm on Beautiful AI. I'm on
Oh, I love
Tomei.
beautiful dot. No, heavy
I
H.
love Beautiful AI. I love Tomei because it builds presentations for you, and all you have to
Okay.
do is tweak them.
Okay,
There's
Tomei.
ones out there that builds product descriptions for all the items in my
Oh, I
boutique, and I
need
just
that
have to
one.
go in and tweak them.
Okay.
I
Okay.
use them in my corporate life from a procurement perspective,
I
building
love
out like
it.
decks for my clients, RFP, filling in RFPs, putting together discovery deck. I went back and built a pitch deck around AI. It- I tell people if you're not dating Al, I call him Al. If you're not dating Al,
Uh-huh.
girlfriend, you're gonna remain single for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. I mean, it is, especially when everyone else is using it. So everyone else is
Yes,
becoming faster, more efficient,
yes.
and you're not, right? So then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
But you have to be
Okay.
careful though. I do tell people be careful because you don't want to come across too automated. Does that
Yeah,
make sense? Like you lose some of your genuineness with AI, so you still have to go in and tweak
absolutely.
it, but
The,
at least it's very time
yeah.
efficient for me.
The AI is a tool for you. It's an internal tool for you, right? To just kind of
Yes.
get you like started to catalyze
Hmm.
whatever it is you're trying to say, or maybe you can't say it well or put it together, or you can't do the images well. But you need to personalize it so that it has your voice, your tone,
Hmm.
it's speaking in the language that your customer wants you to speak.
Absolutely.
Okay, now this one right here. Okay, this one, people,
Oh.
taking without giving.
Mm-mm-mm.
Earn your stripes before making requests. Samantha McKinney, founder of Sam Sales Consulting, stresses the importance of reciprocity. Balance is
My
key when
God.
nurturing future fruitful relationships. I often see sellers become repeat takers and continuing to ask for favors without giving in return and often without gratitude. It's important to ensure the tables are balanced when asking for introductions, referrals, and especially to offer gratitude when you've been given support. I mean, oh my gosh, that is the biggest turnoff. I do things because I just believe, like you said, I'm passionate about it. I want to support people.
Hmm.
I want to help people. And am I expecting reciprocity? No. Would it be nice to have a thank you that was awesome? Yes. I mean, even if, and it's just unbelievable, right? That the number, it seems to be an increase in the number of people that are constantly asking, but
Mm,
never
oh,
asking, how can I help you? Right? What do you need? Or, oh, you know what? Hey, I see you. I really appreciate everything you've been doing. I've been so busy. Great way to give thanks is to give a gift bag box. If you like, that's a wonderful
oh,
way to give thanks.
that's a phenomenal way to give back. Or, you know what I
Or
tell
just a
people all
thank
the
you,
time?
even if it's an
Yes,
email,
there
like
you
just
go.
a text.
Yes,
I know we're busy. I know
yes.
we're swamped. I still have some thank you cards that I owe people, right? But sometimes it's like, okay, you're not going to get the thank you card out. You've been looking at it for 2 months. Send a text or something to let people know. But people, you don't want to be that person that when they get your call or your email, they're like, oh gosh, okay, what do they want now?
Oh my God. You know what? I'm just going to keep it real. Some calls that come through, that's exactly what I think. And I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes I just swipe and go to voicemail because it's like I'm not in that headspace. But I would say for a person like you, Gloria, you are so humble and you are so willing to share. You're not a gatekeeper. And I find that there are so many people who are gatekeepers of
Hmm.
information. And I don't know if it's because they have been the victim of takers. So now
Yeah,
they're very cognizant.
right.
But I, for me, I'm going to share whatever resources I have, just like you. Like you've shared so many resources for me, to me, to help me. And I've chased every single one of them down. And I think sometimes too, giving people and sharing resources with people and them not following up, I think it's sort of like a kick in the face too,
That
right?
is
Because
because it takes time to put all this information in. Like this is time
yes,
that we could be using in our businesses, right? Because we never have enough
absolutely.
time to get the things done. So when someone asks you for some information, I'm gonna put my market research hat on. I'm gonna like dig in. But then when you find out that, there was nothing happened as a result of the free time you invested, then it's disappointing.
It's very disappointing and it's almost like a kick in the face, but reciprocity is so.
Uh,
I just talked about this to
with
somebody.
the
Oh my
business.
God! Yesterday, while we were at the Mother's Day happy hour in the boutique, we were talking business. The friend of mine, Jasmine, she's an attorney. We were talking about the importance of reciprocity, and people don't understand that. So people's mindset is, well, just because you gave me doesn't mean I need to give you. And if you think of it in that frame of mind, that's a selfish mindset. So
Hmm.
it's all about you. So when people come to me and say, well, it's about us as the collective, helping us in business, supporting us in business, but don't shop your store, have never been on my website, have never reached out to me in terms of what can I do for you, but asking me, oh, I need to pick your brain. How many times have you got, oh, girlfriend, I just need to brain for a few minutes, or girlfriend this or that. But these are individuals that have never supported me or want my
Yeah.
support but have never supported me, and I'm not saying that I won't support them,
Right.
but what I'm saying is they go to the back of the line
Hmm.
versus those who have supported. So
Yeah.
it's very, very important. Like when you reached out to me last week, I dropped some things. I'm like, no,
That was
because every
amazing.
time I ask you to do something, you're there. And I'm like, I got more. And what did I tell you? I'll have more for you on the 14th. So I've actually put together
And that
not
made me
only what
feel
you
so
asked
good.
for.
That made me feel so good, right? Because
Oh no.
there are people like us, we don't like to ask. I mean, I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
better as a business owner. I am getting better with asking, so when you do,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's just nice to have someone that's just like, oh yeah, like I can talk to you about it. So yeah, and I'm not saying like I move in the world of not doing things out of
Mm-hmm.
reciprocity. I'm primarily doing it because I care, and I feel like it's my nature. But also,
Mm-hmm.
God has blessed me. Like I've received much more than I could even get, like that I could ever have given. Right, and so I
Yes.
move in the world. I believe in like the energy you put out is the energy you get
Oh
in,
my
and
God. Yes.
even if something happens, I've had situations where people have support and it's not gone
Mm-hmm.
well in terms of how they've dealt with it, but it's like, what, God, put me in that space to do that for a reason,
Yes.
and I can't really dwell on that. I'm just gonna, because I have so many blessings. And I think the other thing is that yeah, so I think we need to also, if you are moving from a perspective of reciprocity, I'm expecting some sort of reciprocity. That's gonna that energy is going to be sensed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um it's also going to be like energy that you don't want to have put back on you. So, but I've got the countdown saying I have 2 more minutes. But if you enjoyed this conversation, we're going to go into this and more with Lydia and Danielle, both from a perspective of nonprofit leaders, but also CEOs. And we'll talk about time management. We'll talk about process management. We'll talk about mindset. We're going to do this, will be an interview style with both of them. So I hope that you will register for this event, May 16th. Registration technically was supposed to be closed Friday, but I went online and it's still out there. It's free, good food, great company, and
Mm-hmm.
even greater, more fun afterwards at Unbar around 7 o'clock p.m. So Tanya, thank you so much for everything,
Oh,
for this cute, how you keep me cute. Like that's why I was like, when is that going over? Because I need to get my screen gear like ready. And thank you so much for being such a wonderful, inspirational person. I look at you and your energy and everything that you put out in the world, and it really helps to keep me going. And I can't wait to see like what's next for you this year and in the years ahead. So thank you so much for agreeing to be on this volunteering to be here with me and to share your insights. This is good, very expensive content that she's been sharing, y'all. But if you want your own personal dose, where can they reach you, Tanya?
Yes, they can reach me at tmgconsultingfirm.com. They can schedule a consultation with me. It's very easy to do so. Or I would love to have you guys stop by the new showroom. I don't know if you guys can
Yes.
see. Let me get out of your way so you can actually see the new showroom in Beechwood. So we are at 3365 Richmond Road, Suite 238. And you can also reach me on all of our social media pages or the old fashioned phone call 216 309 1116.
Thank you so much. And with that, we're at an hour. Thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you, Gloria,
Okay.
and
Hope
I
to
wish
see
you all the
everyone.
best. Take care.
Okay. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.